Amidst the galaxy of business leaders and risk managers, the India Risk Management Awards sought to honor and celebrate those individuals and organizations that have successfully identified, managed and mitigated risk to create big business impact stories.
We're here to reward, recognize risk takers, leaders who challenge the status quo, who have the courage and the conviction to chase their dreams. But as all of you in this room are aware, not every risk that we take pays off, and hence the importance of taking a calculated risk. What exactly does that mean? Let me go back in time and quote the Roman philosopher Seneca. And he said, luck is what happens when opportunity meets preparation. And I think that would be a good way to describe or define what it takes to take a calculated risk. A purposeful organization will always manage risks better and more effectively. So if you're clear about who you are and where you're going, the chances are that you will be able to anticipate the roadblocks and connect the dots better to future-proof yourself. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening.
I'd now like to invite on stage the man leading the largest private sector general insurance company in India that has initiated and partnered with us in this unique undertaking. Please join me in welcoming on stage the Managing Director and CEO of ICICI Lombard General Insurance, Mr. Bhargav Dasgupta.
I guess all of us realize that the world is changing and it's becoming more complex. And with it, risks are also changing and becoming more complex. Risks are becoming unpredictable and frequent. Risks are changing. Who heard of things like Ebola? Who heard things of IPR violation, cyber risk, cyber attacks? So risks are changing, risks are becoming strategic, risks are becoming global. And in this environment, I think it's important for us to recognize that people who look after organizations' risks are people who we should recognize and reward. And that's what we thought as an insurance company which is there to protect your risk. We felt it was important for us to recognize leaders in this space, not only what they've done, but the kind of benchmarks that they've set. Thank you and enjoy the evening.
Thank you for that, Bhargav. Can I request you to stay back on stage to hand out two very special recognitions on behalf of ICICI Lombard General Insurance. The first recognition is from ICICI Lombard General Insurance is for best-in-class usage of risk improvement practices across plants. And the recipient of this special recognition is Jindal Steel and Power Limited. I'd like to invite the Executive Vice President of Jindal Steel and Power Limited, Sushil Mehrotra, up on stage. Now, the second special recognition tonight from ICICI Lombard General Insurance is for leading from the front in implementing best practices in property risk management. And the recipient of this recognition is Alstom India. I'd like to invite the Head of Insurance, India and Middle East, Namrata Sondhi, up on stage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to hear from our keynote speaker for the evening. Please welcome the dynamic Vice Chairman of Bharti Enterprises, Akhil Gupta.
Risk management is a statutory obligation which is to be within the confines of the CFO, at best the audit committee, or a fashion statement, because every good company, every big company does it. I think it's far from that. And this is really an unfortunate thing that risk mitigation has become, for most companies, rhetoric today, rather than an important tool in ensuring success. Risk mitigation is not about pushing towards taking a risk. But as was said earlier, what it prepares you is for mitigating the risk which will be inherent in any business. And that, I think, is the essence of risk mitigation. I firmly believe that successful businesses can be built if there is a solid risk mitigation and a risk management program in place. And I think the winners of tonight would ratify my belief. Thank you very much.
After the break, India Inc. opens up on the biggest challenges and risks facing their respective industries.
Coke a risk, not a risk?
Competition is never a risk. Now we're amidst a galaxy of outstanding risk managers tonight, and I know that Shireen is really eager to have a chat with them. So with that, Shireen, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Sumit. You're absolutely right. And let me ask the chairman here of BPCL, Mr. Vaidharajan, what is the number one risk that you foresee? What are you anticipating as far as global crude prices? What kind of levels are you watching out for? Is this bounce back for real? Is it sustainable?
Well, I think if you are into the downstream sector, I think the first thing you stop predicting is the crude prices. You are fortunate that you have a pass-through mechanism, which most of the downstream companies do. But fortunately, we took the risk of getting into the upstream. You have some extremely good assets which have come up. And to that extent, I think we are hoping that the 70 to 80 range is what could be seen in the medium term. Very clearly, some of the investments which we are going to make in the upstream is going to run into some couple of billions of dollars. And to that extent, we would expect prices to be at a steady state to support the kind of investments which we are looking at as part of the upstream.
Since we had Ms. Akhil Gupta present us with the keynote, sir, the number one risk for 2015, spectrum auctions or net neutrality?
A spectrum auction was no risk. It was a reality. I mean, we knew it would happen. The only thing was how much amount would need to be spent. So again, that is something you have to just prepare for. But net neutrality is no risk. My belief is, you ask on this planet 7 billion people, are you in favor of net neutrality? You would not get a single negative vote. So obviously it can't be a risk. But net neutrality's understanding is a bit of a risk.
Okay, so zero rating plans the number one calculated risk for Bharti in 2015?
Not at all. I think there is a huge misconception that it was a plan. It was a platform which allowed other content providers to do a kind of a call collect. So unfortunately it just boomeranged into a big debate. But the fact is it wasn't even a tariff plan from Airtel. Therefore, I think quite a wrong concept in terms of linking it to net neutrality. It could have been questioned to Flipkarts or anybody who used it whether they were violating net neutrality. It was just a platform.
Thank you very much. Let me hop across now and speak with D. Shivakumar, the man who heads Pepsi in India. Shiv, Coke and regulation, what's the number one risk?
I don't think regulation is a big risk in our industry. In most FMCG,
Not yet in India, maybe.
in most FMCG, I think most regulators are sensible.
So, Coke a risk, not a risk?
Competition is never a risk.
So, what are you most worried about today?
Rural incomes, that's something I think most FMCG companies would be worried about. Is there enough coming through? Because while rural contributes only 36% of FMCG, I think almost all the growth, 65% of growth is coming there. So rural has to fire for FMCG.
Let me go across to Amit Kalyani here from Bharat Forge. Let me ask you about the defense bet, because that's a big bet that you're making. What are the risks associated with that?
So this risk is diametrically opposed to what Pepsi faces. We have one customer, and that customer makes all the rules, and we're very happy to work with that customer. Unfortunately, that customer is not used to working with corporate India yet. And I think the procedures for working with private Indian companies and the Indian private sector are being, let's say, made easier, made more structural. There's a lot of dialogue and discussion going on between government and industry. So while I think it's going to take time, it's obvious that that's a huge opportunity and companies need to prepare themselves. And like we have done, we've allocated part of our manufacturing capacities and capabilities to develop products which we can manufacture and supply to the Indian industry and the export markets. And I was talking to Bhaskar earlier and I said that it's very possible that we will probably start exporting products before we actually start supplying in India.
Between you and your father, who's the bigger risk taker?
Clearly my father.
All right, let me go across to our partners in crime, KPMG, because they've been working with ICICI Lombard and CNBC TV18 in putting this effort together. Tax concerns, the number one risk when we talk about investing in India today?
Absolutely. I think those are some of the issues that most of the organizations look at, and that's the first port of call to understand what the tax issues are and really how it impacts the investment in the country.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for joining us here this evening.
Stay tuned as we unveil the winners of the India Risk Management Awards after a short break.
It's time to kickstart the awards presentation ceremony. To give away the first set of awards, I'd like to invite back on stage Shireen Bhan and Bhargav Das Gupta, and to join them, I'd like to invite the Executive Vice President of Mahindra & Mahindra, K. Chandrasekhar. Let's take a look at the first award category for the evening.
Firm of the Year, Information Technology.
The winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Mindtree Limited. I'd like to invite on stage the Chief Risk Officer of Mindtree, Sushant Pai, to receive the trophy.
Go without telling us what you believe is the number one risk that you've ever taken in the course of your career so far.
I was running the risk management function until recently, so I took up the job about 3 years ago while I was running the business finance function prior to that. So the fact that I took on a function which I had not done before, ran it for about 3 years, and this is a recognition from the external audience, is itself a risk which I took, which is paid off.
Congratulations to Mindtree. Now here's a look at the second award category this evening.
Firm of the Year, Infrastructure.
The firm of the year infrastructure is Bharti Infratel Limited. From Bharti Infratel, I'd like to invite its MD and CEO, DS Rawat, and CFO, Pankaj Miglani.
Perhaps you can tell us what the number one risk is as an infrastructure company and share that with our audience.
Our industry, I think the number one risk, it's more about the operational excellence, and because it's a brick and mortar business at the end of the day, it's more the grid power and the diesel filling, and that's the key operational risk we run on a day-to-day basis while maintaining the towers what we have.
Now, if one doesn't drive the business, they are most likely to be driven out of it. And our next award recognizes the best risk-taking organization of one such driven business sector. Here's a look.
Firm of the Year, Auto.
The winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Ashok Leyland Limited. I'd like to invite on stage the Chief Risk Officer of Ashok Leyland, Mr. P.K. Ranganathan.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni as a brand ambassador, a risk that's paid off for you?
Yes, I think I have to say positively about that.
Thank you very much for joining us here this evening.
Now let's take a look at the next award category of the India Risk Management Awards this evening.
Firm of the Year, Pharmaceutical.
The firm of the year, Pharmaceuticals, is Lupin. To receive their trophy, I'd like to invite on stage the President, Finance and Accounts of Lupin, Sunil Makharia.
Congratulations. So let me ask you, the US FDA, the number one risk for Lupin?
Yes, it's a fact. For the pharmaceutical company, regulatory and the product quality, that's the biggest risk, of course. And so far, that's Lupin, we never had the issues.
Congratulations, Lupin. Well, here's a look at the next award category for the evening.
Firm of the Year, FMCG.
The winner of the Firm of the Year FMCG is none other than PepsiCo India Limited. I'd like to call on stage the Chairman and CEO of PepsiCo India, E. Shiv Kumar, to receive the award.
IPL, is it a risk that's paid off for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The answer is yes.
So what's the next bet that you're willing to take?
I think that's a secret.
Yes, give us a sneak peek. We're crashing the IPL through you now.
It's going to be in product.
I'd now like to request the partner and national head for risk at KPMG India, Mrityunjay Kapoor, to join Bhargav and Shireen in giving out this next set of awards. Our next award category for the evening is coming right up on the screen. Let's take a look.
Firm of the Year, Telecommunication.
The winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Bharti Airtel Limited. I'd like to call on stage B. Shrikant and team from Bharti Airtel to receive the award.
We've seen all of you cut tariffs at this point in time. There was all this talk about post the auctions tariffs actually moving up. We've actually seen the reverse tariffs coming down. Is there scope to go lower, or are we going to be surprised with a hike anytime soon?
We have, at this point of time, including Africa, 312 million customers with us. And every day morning, we are counting our customers, and this is 4% of the world's population. 1 in 25 human beings on this planet is with Airtel. And that gives us a lot of strength to manage any risk that comes our way.
Congratulations to Bharti Airtel. Now before we move on, I'd like to invite back on stage our keynote speaker for the evening, Akhil Gupta, to please join the presenters in handing out the next set of awards. Now whenever you see a successful business, remember someone once made a courageous decision. Our next award bears testimony to that. Here's a look at the category.
Jurors Award for Commitment Towards Risk Awareness.
The Special Jurors Award for Commitment Towards Risk Awareness goes to Hector Beverages. I'd like to call on stage the CEO of Hector Beverages, Neeraj Kakkar, to receive the award and team.
What more can we expect from you?
So far we are in the Ampana and Jaljeera. We want to get Panakam on board. We want to get Soul Curry on board. The products which nobody is talking about right now, we want to bring them back to life.
Congratulations, guys. Here's a look at the next award category at the India Risk Management Awards this evening.
Best Sustainability Risk Management.
Our winner here is Ambuja Cements Limited, and I'd like to invite on stage the MD and CEO of Ambuja Cements, Ajay Kapoor, to receive their trophy.
More than risks today, companies like yours are staring at opportunities. 2015 looks like it's going to be a spectacularly better year than 2014 for you?
For us, like somebody else mentioned, it's a rural, which is still a big thing. It's kind of slowing down. But I think smart cities and a lot of impetus on infrastructure, I see 6 months down the road, but should be better than last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the next award category for the evening.
Best Supply Chain Risk Management.
The winner of the Best Supply Chain Risk Management Award this evening is Mahindra & Mahindra Limited. I'd like to invite on stage Hemant Sikka and K. Vaidyanathan to receive the award.
So the risk perhaps was not entering the compact SUV market when you should have. How are you mitigating that risk now?
In the next 3 quarters, we will have 1 new product, 1 new facelift and 1 new variant.
Congratulations to Mahindra & Mahindra. Well, we're now down to our last 3 big awards. Here's a look at our next award category.
Private Company of the Year.
The winner, ladies and gentlemen, is Bharat Forge Limited. I'd like to invite the Executive Director of Bharat Forge, Amit Kalyani, to receive the award.
you said your father is the bigger risk taker, but if you were to take a risk today, if you were to bet on something besides defense, what would it be?
I'd bet on India. I think very simply India is the best place in the world to manufacture, and I think it's also probably going to be the biggest market and the biggest market that's going to surprise all of us with its latent demand, and I think that's really what I'd bet on.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our penultimate award for this evening is coming right up on the screen. Let's have a look.
Public Sector Unit of the Year.
The winner is Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. I'd like to invite on stage the CMD of BPCL, Mr. S. Vadrajan, to receive the award.
That the market has been deregulated, when can we expect the three oil marketing companies to price differently? The Indian consumer would like to know whether I should go to an IOC pump, I should go to a BPCL pump, or I should go to an HPCL pump. Right now it doesn't make any difference because you're all pricing exactly the same.
We are saying that where we have invested in automation, we are charging a price which is different, which is higher, and we found that in all those markets we have been doing extremely well. So clearly it is always there. Question is whether it can be in more markets and to what extent. I think we'll have to wait and see.
Congratulations to BPCL. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the big one. Here's a look at the final award category of the evening.
Conglomerate of the Year.
The winner is none other than the Mahindra Group. I'd like to invite on stage Anish Shah and K. Vaidyanathan to receive the award.
What is it that you haven't done that you would like to do at this point in time?
Infrastructure is one area that we haven't played in a big way as yet. Defense is another. Healthcare is a third. So there are lots of options for us, and you'll see more over the next few quarters.
By giving this award, you've actually created a risk for me as the Chief Risk Officer. At Mahindra Group, we pride ourselves as a federation, and I have to go back and explain to Anand Mahindra we collected a Conglomerate of the Year award. Help me with that.
Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the Company of the Year.
Can we have all our winners back on stage, the jury members and presenters? Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep that applause going. These are some of the most successful and the leaders in their respective space.